Okay, so we have let this sit for about 15 minutes. And now we're gonna do our first stretch and fold. I like to time it out where I do it now, and then I do it in another 15 minutes, and then I do it every half hour for the next, basically hour to hour and a half. And then I just leave it. So it's not that much work, you just gotta keep coming back and doing it. I recommend wet your hand with a little water, just so it doesn't stick a little. You basically go down underneath, pull it up, that's the stretch, and the fold is just folded on itself. Turn it clockwise if you want. Stretch and fold, stretch and fold, becoming a little more firm. Basically, you're stretching the gluten strands, and there's gluten in here, and it becomes a structure, and you're kind of breaking it down and building it down, breaking it down and building it up, and it becomes a little more firm. This is a little more natural way to do it, a little easier way to do it, and you'll see the end result. Like in the beginning, it was like this big mush that I could just pull easily. There's no set amount of times, you just kind of get the idea, like, okay, it's done it enough, and if I pull it up to stretch and fold again, it gets a little harder to do, then you know you're kind of there. You can kind of see in there that it's becoming more like dough. And that's it. Put a lid on it, because you don't want the outside to be too firm. Where's my liddies? Put the lid on it, leave it. And like I said, that's the first for 15 minutes. And then you want to come back, do it in another 15 minutes, and then 30, and then you should be pretty good. And this is going to go for 3 to 4 hours. You want to make sure that it kind of doubles in size before you spill it out and start making it into 2 loaves of bread. You got it. All right, so in the interest of TV magic, I started mixing this one earlier today. You can tell in here, like it's got all bubbles, it's all ready to go. This is ready to be shaped. This is a little over 4 hours, actually. It should be okay. Here's a thing I love. I don't want to brag, but I was on Martha Stewart's show once. Yeah, actually twice. And we really had a nice relationship going. I wouldn't say that she was flirting with me, but she wasn't not flirting with me. She's a beautiful woman, and we kind of hit it off. One thing I learned from her is get one of these. Get one of these. I don't know what you call it. This is a Paderno. It's a rubbery thing that you put on your counter, and you can use as a, not a cutting board, what would you call it, Maya? Stretchy, non-stick surface that you put onto your counter. Again, wet your hand a little bit. Develop your own technique. And we're gonna dump this big, beautiful, fermented, risen dough. We let it rise, and now it's ready to be our friend, and it all comes out as one big mass. Look at that. Ah. That's a good sign that it was perfect. If it's too early, there's gonna be a lot stuck to the sides. Good job, everybody. Good job, Maya. All right, so here we go. We've got our big blob. Look at that, it's so delicious. Okay, I need some flour in here. You can put a whole bag into one of these flour containers. It's better, no bugs are gonna get in it. It's kind of a good thing. Here's one little thing. This always happens when you go to throw it away. Yeah, it's unavoidable. Into the recycling. Remember way in the beginning when I said there's some things that you need, and because you didn't want to be annoying and get to a certain point when you're making a recipe or doing something, and you realize, oh, I don't have that. Here's 2 other things that I forgot to mention. Sorry. Bread knife. Get one, you need it. And then you need these baskets, the bowls. They're super cool, and you're going to need another thing too. I'm sorry. You're also gonna need some rice flour to use in the bottom of these. I like to wet this a little bit, just a little bit. I like to stick it in the flour, just to get a little on your knife so it doesn't stick so much. And you're splitting this big blob into 2 loaves. Now you can do it by measurement. You could weigh it out if you wanted to. We're not being that specific. I like to do it by eye. If one's gonna be longer than the other, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. This is kind of big, and this is gonna get a little weird. It's gonna get a little complicated. There's a whole bunch of different strategies out there. I recommend that you get books and you look up stuff online like you're doing right here. This is shaping, and there's a lot of different methods. I'm just gonna show you again what I do, and hopefully it'll work for you. Okay, there's no flour on here because you want this surface to be a little sticky, right? You want it to be able to grab the dough as we're working with it. Take your bread knife. I like to fold it over once and get it on its side, right? You can do this. You want to shape this and you want to create an outer layer. A good thing to think about is that there is a top to this. You're not going to just push it and have it all fold on itself. You basically want to create a ball-like shape. You want to like stretch it out on all the sides so the top becomes firm and has like a shell, and then you're going to let it rest. Okay, so I take the knife, I put it on the side, and I pull it towards me, but not all the way, because you want to make sure again that that's the top. Put a little flour on your hands too if it's sticky, and just pull it towards you. Pull it towards you. Pull it towards you. And you see, look at that. Look at that beauty. It's already a ball. It's already straight in there. It's a beautiful thing. And that's all you gotta do. Try not to manhandle it. In the beginning, I would get like really aggressive with it. I would beat it up. I would be like shaping it, and you panic and you're not doing it right, and it's sticking to the knife, it's sticking to your hands. You'll get better at it. When I learned to do this at a bread shop during the making of my show, there were so many different techniques and ways that people did it. And there's like, you could see these guys like at Tartine and Bub and Grandma's, and they just like really quick and boom, 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 and they all have this amazing technique, and they're professionals. They're really great at it. You just gotta kind of find out what's good for you. But the key is to remember that that is a top, and you just wanna keep pulling it, and don't let the top go underneath. So pull it towards you, leave the top up there, bring it back. Do it again, keeping that same top until you get that shape, right? So we got this one, gonna do the same thing. And don't freak out. Like if it sticks to you a little bit, that's okay. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. Now this one's kind of weird and lumpy on the outside. That's okay, just keep going. Maybe it needs a little extra. But again, don't beat it up. There's air in there. It's got a little gluten structure. And now it's in a good shape. There you go. Look at that. 2 perfect round dudes. This is a cool thing. Whenever people throw flour, go like, cool technique. Makes you look like you know what you're doing. Totally should have worn an apron. Beautiful. That's the first shape. They call it the pre-shape. Get a towel. I like to use a towel that isn't used for all of my dishes and stuff. I use like a little bread towel. It's a little more canvasy. It's not gonna stick. You got some flour thrown on there. Just cover it and leave it for about 20 minutes. And when you're leaving it for 20 minutes, you're letting it rest. You just beat it up, and now you're gonna let it relax. And then you're gonna shape it again, and you're basically building a structure. Let it rest, come back. We'll do the next stage, which will be very soft and gentle, and we'll put it in the baskets, and we will put it in the refrigerator, and we will be baking bread. Look at that, that's so nice. All right, we have waited about 20 minutes, and look how they relaxed. Remember I said they were gonna relax? Well, they relaxed and they're starting to spread out a little bit. If you waited a little longer, they would get even flatter. It's okay, it's what we wanted them to do. Something to do before we do the final shape. Get yourself some rice flour. Some people like cornmeal, some people use regular flour. I use rice flour. It's a little granular and it helps things not stick. And you take some and you put it in your baskets. You're gonna line your baskets with it, so after we put our dough in there, when we flip it out to make bread and bake it, it's not gonna stick. Just line it, throw a bunch in. It kind of makes the bread look cool at the end. You get a little flour on the outside, kind of decorative. Also with these baskets, you can use a liner in these baskets, and you can use, which is like a little cloth liner that it comes with. You can get them, you know, anywhere you want, buy stuff. Or you can take the liner out and you have these ridges on it. It's just an aesthetic. I like using it without the liner, and it creates just a cool lining on the bread, kind of indentation of the basket. I like it. It just looks cool. And that's what this is kind of, you know, you gotta create your own style. Everybody has their own style. Figure out your style. Now we're gonna shape. We've got our little rice flour in there. It's waiting for us. Wet your knife again. Get that out of there. Ruining the shot. Get a little thing. This is a cool little action. This is a top like we had it. We're gonna flip it over. You wanna come underneath? Speed is your friend at this point. Just like that. See that? Get a little of the air out, flatten it out. This is gonna be the final shape. I like doing one at a time. For a long time, I was shaping my bread the way I would see cool people in bakeries do it, but they were using the long oval baskets. I use the rounds. I've only shifted kind of recently into shaping my bread this way. Basically, you're gonna fold it into itself and make a little package. So I take a little corner there into the middle, a little corner there into the middle, a little corner there into the middle, a little corner there into the middle. And I just keep folding it in on itself until I get a little bit of a ball. See that? Got a little bit of a ball to it. Flip it over. See, we still have our top from the very beginning when we were starting. And again, now the same action that we had with the bread knife before, dragging it towards yourself and keeping sure that the top stays the top. You're just bringing it in on itself, making it into a firm little ball. Put flour on your hands if you need to. This is so exciting that I'm showing this to you finally, isn't it? And there you go, you got your shape. Take your bread knife, flip it, and then top side down into the basket. Just like that. It's a beautiful thing. You've done it, you're at the end. Same thing here, get a little flour on your hands, get some of the air out, and then start folding it in on itself. Fold it in on itself. Flip it over. Dun, dun, dun. Once you get flour on it, it's not sticking as much. You gotta kind of just take your time with it and get it into that nice ball. Beautiful. Bread knife, flip it over, stick it into there. Ta-da. This is the proofing stage. What I like to do is cover it either with wet paper towels or one of your cool towels like you have into the refrigerator. And the longer it proofs, the deeper the flavor. And also an added benefit of it being in the refrigerator is it becomes stronger and it's easier to put into the Dutch oven. It's gonna hold its shape better. It's going to look better. Let it go full 12 hours at least. The next morning or early afternoon, take it out and then you bake. Pretty great. A little side note for you. Remember when we took our starter and we used it and put it into our bread? Remember that? It was a good time, right? That was fun. When you get to the end of it, And I've done this already, so I can't really show you right now. I'm down to this now. That's all I've got left. And by the way, this is enough to feed again. But the reason it's empty, so empty, you have to keep your sourdough starter and refresh it, right? We took it from this mason jar and we put a little dab in there and we made it. So now this has become very active and very alive, more alive and active than what is remaining in your mason jar. So what I like to do is take some of this out, not all of it, most of it out, and then take whatever I was using and use that as my ongoing starter. So I scoop out it from this, put it in here, mix it together, and put this back in the fridge, and now this is going to be solid for a while. And why do we put it in the fridge? It's because it slows it down. Temperature slows everything down. The same thing with how the bread is gonna rise now and proof. If I were to leave it out, in an hour and a half, it's gonna be rising above the side of the basket. If you put it into the refrigerator and lower the temperature, it slows the activity down of the yeast, and it just becomes much slower, which you really want with this. When this comes out of the refrigerator and you're just out on your counter, you gotta feed it almost every 6 hours because it exhausts all of its fuel. It eats it really quickly, and then but if you put it in the refrigerator, it's gonna last. Look at that, a little science fact. I don't even know how I learned that. And then just wash this out and go about your life. All right, so that's it. We're gonna put this in the refrigerator. We're gonna come back tomorrow. We're going to put it in the Dutch oven and we're gonna bake and we're gonna see bread. We're gonna see real ass bread. Are you learning something? I always like when things are funny and you learn something. What do you think, Maya? Are you learning anything?
Yeah.
Yeah? You made perfect bread the first time out.
But not like that.
You're too kind.